Hi friends, this is Sarah from Crafting and Relaxing. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. I don't know what this video is yet, but I wanted to show you where it started. This might be part of Smash Our Stash, it might be some other video, and maybe you'll never even see it. Sorry about the oven, I think dinner's ready. I watched Penny Rose journals this morning early when I was on the treadmill because part of crafting and relaxing is getting your steps so you can be healthy and have lots of fun. And she took scraps and made journal tags. And I watched it and I thought, ooh, I really have been toying with the idea of pulling out my, do you watch Bonnie and Clive? She calls it her crap box. It's also like giblets. That's from Southern Gals Design. I have a box that is trash to most people. It's not scrapbook paper. It is scary and terrifying. I'm not going to show it to you right now because if I pulled it off the shelf, there would be a Craftalanche. So at some point I need to address it, and maybe I'll take a picture and show it to you before I move it, because the kittens are starting to wonder, how do I get that stuff? And then stuff falls. But first I thought, I am cleaning my room. I mean, I think soon you're going to be impressed. I did a 30-minute tidy video, and you probably saw that recently. But now I am dealing with all the holiday stuff that I drug out. I'm systematically finishing the blue journal, getting it mailed, finishing the blue cards. I am almost to the point where the December daily, the red and green ones are done, but not quite. But then this can add to them too. But I have this box. It is Christmas scraps. It is several years worth. There's a small bag here where the backs are white because I like to keep these separate because of journaling cards and tags and stuff. But I don't love a bunch of these papers. I like the snow globe one. I'm kind of tired of that one. I had a lot of fun with it. And then a bunch of them, they were inexpensive paper. They're really big patterns. Like this one, it is white on the back. I don't love it. Penny Rose, she took her bag, box, pile of scraps or whatever, and she made more scraps, which almost gave me a heart attack. Now, the one thing about when you watch some of those videos is scrapbook paper, it's super thick. So I'm trying to adjust what I'm layering it on. If you're using really thin layers, then think about thickening it up and how you want your tags. So what she did was she had her glue book pages, she folded them over like this, and this became the thing she collaged on. Hers were a little wider. I write really big. I like wider tags. I also have a whole pile of file folders. You've heard me mention that I'm in a Facebook Buy Nothing group. If you're not in one of those, you should get in one in your neighborhood. Just look around and find it. Somebody was like, I have this whole stack of file folders. Does anybody want it? Well, yeah, paper is not trash to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some strips of these, and I'm going to take this paper and mix it with maybe this mint green one and maybe tear up these gloves, and I'm going to collage tags onto them. Then she stitched the edges. It was so cute. I'll link to the video. And I will have tags for December dailies, and I won't have to look at this bag of scraps again. I mean, I'm so tired of these papers. I don't want to make cards with them. I looked at this piece of paper and thought, should I just throw this away? Should I put it in my go away pile? Probably, because the scale of the images is just too big, right? I would have rather had smaller images, but there's a whole bunch of colors in here that would be great for collage, and papers that would be great for collage, but maybe not great to write on. And so this will help me use them up. I don't have any objection to this paper. I don't love that side. So I'm going to go through and make some tags. I don't know if it's going to dent it or just multiply the scraps, as often happens. And then I will put some in my go away pile, and we'll have a more manageable bag, and I won't dread seeing it. The reality of it is, seeing the same papers often, it gets exhausting. I would rather see your Christmas scrap bag than mine. I just wanted you to see what I'm starting with. I'm starting with file folders. I do have lots of old books, but a lot of my old books I've chosen because I like the pages. This is a Reader's Digest. It often has words and images that I don't want in my journals, so I could use some of these for a small one. I'll probably also, while I'm watching TV and fiddling around, do like a master board concept where I just glue all over the whole thing, and then I can chop it. But the thing that was really nice about hers that I liked and wasn't wasted on me is she tore all the pieces of paper. Then she layered them on here. So they kind of hung off the sides a little. It had a nice, natural, fun look instead of collaging a big piece onto here and then chopping them up into tags. But I'll do it both ways. And then she stitched around the edges with her sewing machine. Super cute. Because I am going to use these tags, I won't have to glue anything on the back. So I'll just make sure that I glue over any writing that's on these, and this will be where I write. And does it have a little stain? Yeah, I don't care. I'm fine with that. Okay, good morning. It's the next morning, and I just wanted to show you what I made in one evening. I made 2 that were torn like this. Now remember, I'm using cardstock, so the tearing is a little harder, especially since some of these, they were strips. They were the cutoffs of journal pages. So getting a section, oh, this one's actually from a card. Getting a section, I'm having to tear super carefully because otherwise the piece will be much smaller than I'd like. Not that they had to be 1-inch squares or anything, but I just didn't want to deal with 1/2-inch bits. Maybe that's what I'll do tonight. So this one I messed up, forgot to check the back, so the brand thing was right there. So I just put a piece of paper over it so I didn't have to line the whole thing. And I figure it's at the top of the card, so when it tucks in a pocket, it'll be fine. And these were bits of the paper as I was tearing, so the Merry Christmas to you and Santa. I'll probably put this in the Santa journal because it'll be so cute in there. And then this one. Then as it evolved, I also made, oh, this might have been the first one I made. It's strips, kind of like the strip cards I make. And I tore the edges. I tore the edges of about every other one. And again, they were cutoffs of journals, so I didn't have a lot of space to work with. Like, that's why this one's 1/2-inch. And then I just cut this one. That's easier, you know, instead of, for me, having to start with the edges and make sure everything's the right size and trim it as you go. Then I have these decal scissors because Nancy had them, and so I was sure well, she has mini pinking because she makes little postage stamps. But I picked these up at a thrift store a couple months back, and maybe I cut one thing with them, and I was so excited the day I got them. So then I decided I was going to use the decal edge because my hands, it has been really dry here, and by the time I tore all these cardstock, my fingers were like sandpaper. So I thought, okay, wait. The scissors made it much nicer. Now, if you have thinner papers, this is hot off the press from Canby, Oregon. And like if you had more of the thinner ones that I make envelopes with or that kind of thing, the tearing is no problem. You could probably tear for hours and your poor little thumbs wouldn't hurt. And as the evening went on, I realized there's an extra layer right here of blue, but this is this year's scraps right here. So I put a bunch of little things on them so I could find them. But then this year's start, there's a bunch of thin ones in this year's. So I'll probably go back and forth. I took the whole bag sort of apart. I might insert a picture of a kitten and I, or Zeus and I in bed. I did a couple in the front room watching TV, and then I ended up in bed. So these 2 decal, I made this one super neutral. I had to dig through my piles. There's a tiny splash of red right there, but I thought this one would be good for a blue journal if I wanted, or something else, or like a more shabby looking one. And then this one, I did use that book page that I had because I was tired and ready to clean up, and I had all these little pieces cut, and I thought, I'm not putting these back in the bag. I'm gluing them down. I did the work. So I used that one real quick. Of the pieces that I prepped last night, I think I had one more that I could have done if I was, you know, still going, but it was after 10, and for me, that's really late. So that's one evening worth. I had a great time. I will do more of these. If I keep making more, I'll show you and talk you through them because the Smash Our Stash video might not have any detail because this pile is going to grow, isn't it? If you want to make them fast, the torn edge and the strips is super fast because it's just collaging with the strips. Most of mine were in strips and that started to bother me. So then I started trying to find larger pieces and mixing things up so that I could have some variety and not just have like little grid. I don't know, just personal preference and mixing things up. And just so you know, I'm not super comfortable collaging. Like that is something that is a growth opportunity for me, but I just love how it turned out. This is my second night of this, and I would like to make them slightly narrower. Last night they were mostly, what was it, 4? Yeah, about 4 inches. And I think I would just like them slightly narrower because if you think about it, I have pockets, and I wonder if I'm around the corners. Nope. I have glue and a bunch of stuff, and these might be a little bulky. So maybe 3.5 is a little better today. And it doesn't matter, right? I'm going to have all different sizes, and that's great. I'm going to have all different sizes and colors. And so I'm going to cut a couple that are 3.5. And obviously I just chose 3.5. Then this one, it is too wide. So it's almost 5. So let's go 2.5. And then we'll have 2 smaller ones. And maybe on the next one, I'll think that through a little better. Put that in here. Doesn't matter. I mean, I have a garage sale. Oh, this one has printing on both sides. Stack of these file folders. We haven't even made a dent. And I just think I will use them. When I accepted them, I didn't have a plan. I mean, I never really do. Let's go. What did I do on the last one? 3.5. Let's do that this time. We'll go 4 on this one. And then this one, I'm going to cut that off. And maybe that would be fun. Like maybe it would be a fun variation. But I'm going to take this side there. And then I'll try to remember to collage on this side this time. Then this one, let's square this up a bit. There we go. Okay, so we have a whole pile of them. It is earlier than it was last time, and it's Friday night. So it doesn't really matter if I stay up too late. That one has something on it. Yeah, that's no big deal. The light in my bedroom isn't quite as good. So let's do this. Let's take a piece of a Post-it and let's stick it on here. And then odds are that will help me remember. And these are super sticky Post-its, so they stay better. I just gave up, and that's the only kind I buy now. Super sticky, and I don't buy generic ones. Life is too short for generic Post-its, I think. Now, when I take my scraps in my room tonight, I took too much last night. It was overwhelming to manage, and I was trying to hold it down with 2 kittens also, right? So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, there's a whole bunch that I didn't even know were in here. This would make a cute pocket and a journal. So let's leave the really big scraps in here for tonight and in the craft room. And let's just take the smaller ones like this. We don't want to chop that up and collage with it necessarily. Maybe we'll bring these guys. This one I'm going to leave. I do like that paper. Some of these, ooh, I like this side. I'm going to set this aside for if I make another neutral one. I didn't know that was on the back, actually. I think it was in with my white on the back. Eliza just got herself into the cupboard of shame. Not very gracefully. These are cute as can be. So I'm going to leave these bigger pieces that are also blank on the back. They have potential to be a journal tag as they are, or go in a pocket. These guys are cute, and I don't know what I want to do with them yet. So now we're getting down to more, who was it? Was it our crafty life friend? I think she called them Scrappy Scraps. Like this one, I'm putting this in the trash. I'm going to let it go, you guys. So I'm getting into the scrappy, oh, this is a really cute little embellishment. I'm getting into the Scrappy Scraps. And I'm going to take these, not this one. I am going to take this one because, you know, I don't want that side, right? I'll use this side. Oh, it could be a pocket, though. It's a good size. Oh, that's cute. Okay, so some of these that are bigger, like still card size, I'm going to leave in here. But then I have all these also. And some of these, they're really thin, like I was saying. So I'm going to bring those with me tonight, and maybe we'll see if those get used. Put them down in. This is a terrible idea, what I'm doing, taking all of these in there. I'm going to leave all these file folders in here because then I could set them on top of stuff. Because yesterday the girls were taking stuff from me. And I didn't work in my normal tray because I wasn't sure about collaging and I wanted a place to contain that. So I took my travel size glass mat and I'll insert a photo. How about right here of what it looked like last night? I think there's one where Zeus was with me at one point. Eliza was with me, I think. It's a lot, right? They come and they go and they help me. You can see I have some scraps already on here ready for tonight. I'm going to take these neutral ones and put them with this other one, just kind of setting aside. You don't have to sort them by color. They can be totally random. But I thought if I had some neutral ones, that would lend it to maybe a vintage journal or a blue journal a little more instead of having red and green on all of them. You know, just mix it up. When you have this many scraps, oh goodness sakes, you can do all sorts of things. So that is your update for tonight. We have a whole nother week till Smash Our Stash, but I don't know if I'm going to keep you around the whole time. Did I show you this scrap bin? Okay, yeah, it's gotten out of hand. So this looks to me like basic gray fall. That's what this bin is, fall. So we have fall, Christmas, general scraps. See, there's some general ones under them. So I think I'm not going to do just, I'm going to put these in the neutrals over here. I'm not going to do just, should we put the travel? Yeah, sure. We'll put those in there too. Holiday, I'm going to do a lot of stuff and get them mixed up and moved along. And there are so many videos for scraps, right? I make embellishment clusters. I could do decorative Christmas trees. I could cut out ornaments, little packages that you put ribbon on, all sorts of things. This inspired me. Penny Rose Journals was very inspiring. This is what I want to do. It seems fun. And if I'm getting them used up, then it's great because I just kept setting the bins aside. And we have a long way to go with scraps here. So I would say scraps could be my project for weeks. Good morning, friends. I can't even believe the progress I've made. Last night in bed, I made these journaling cards. And I could always round the corners. I should stitch on them. I'm not sure if I will, but they'll be way cuter in the final video if I do. Plus, I won't stitch on them next year when I get them out. I won't even think about it. So it would be nice if I at least stitched on a few. And maybe I won't stitch on all of them because pockets and space and width, then they won't be as bulky. Okay, then I have been what my friend Katie calls, she's a quilter, and she took her entire quilt room apart this year and put it back together. I'm not kidding you. Like, everything out, touched everything and put it back. And she's pushing me to do the same, but I'm applying that concept to small areas. So as I went through the scraps, I said, okay, I'm going to make these cute little tags, rounded the corners. They're white on the back. I'm not going to put these away with Christmas. I wouldn't be surprised if I use these today or next week. Then I only have one Christmas tag so far. Then I made a pocket page thing. Gail Augustinelli made one like this the other day, and it's kind of like those pages I've been making with the 3, but it's ready to go on a page. So what you're doing is you're moving the work into using up your scraps and planning ahead. So I thought it was great. So I made that, and I hate this paper. I never want to see it again, so that's perfect. I'll glue it on. It was just a scrap that was big enough. It was like 8 inches tall, and it was one that was. These I imagine all as tuck spots on pages, either right or left. Doesn't matter, except for this one has writing on it, so it should go that way. They were either too small to be a pocket or too big, and I just thought, no, we'll do something different. Then all of these are pockets, and you'll notice, not so well if I don't sort them, but the height varies. It's because of the piece of scrap. I rounded the bottom corners. I punched the top circle. I'm not going to ink them in case maybe I want to come back and make them shorter. Maybe I don't want to ink everything else on the page. You know I'm going to forget. Ooh, that one I even put another scrap thing that I found, and it's another pocket. Santa's, Sloth, I love this paper with the stars and the trees. I love this paper. Don't like the back. I don't even know where that one came from. So using them all up, and when I put them away in a perfect world, in my December daily supplies, I will say pockets, tucks, you know, we could put these together, and then this tag would be separate because I'm always looking for tags at different stages than pockets lots of times. As I move away from using scrapbook paper, I won't have the cutoff section at the bottom when I make my journal pages. So these will be really fun in more of a tea-dyed junky journal, or anytime you're using 8.5 by 11 paper. Maybe you bought it printed. A lot of that old paper is 8.5 by 11. It works great for journal pages. Or you do digitals and you print them on 8.5 and 11. This gives you pockets and ephemera. So it makes a little more sense to me as I work through this why Gail does it this way. I generate scraps that match my journals as I cut the bottoms, different styles in different ways. And I think, you know, over time things evolve. The other thing I noticed on a lot of these, they were directional. That's why I hadn't used them. So I had snow globes, Santas, sheet music, more snow globes, reindeer. So I had a lot of directional. And so what had happened was, as I went through the bag, I was always looking for non-directional. So at some point I just had to say, well, you're going to be a pocket and I'm sick of looking at you. The other thing you could do is, if you're a card maker, I've gone through lots of times and made a 4 by 5 1/4 piece. I can always trim it down as a different layer. And then I set all of those aside, those rectangles. Sometimes I round the corners on some of them just for variety, especially if I have a bunch of the same paper. So then you're processing your scraps so they're ready to be on a layer of a card. Here I'm processing so that I'm ready to make journals, because that's how I start with the big stuff, right? Then look at my scrap bag so far. I don't even know what happened to the other bag. I think I pulled the sticker off and used it for something already, but I think this is the same size bag, and it was thick. We have Kitty. What are you doing, Missy? Okay, I'm going to take that from you. Thanks. So right now, it's maybe at its peak 1/2 inch thick. And then I have this little package of small scraps. This big bag, they were all mixed. So this way, you're not digging through if you're trying to make a pocket or look for something big. These are small, these are big, that's all you have to choose from. And there's only one piece in here that's really pocket size that I didn't process yet. And part of it is, I don't know, I have a lot of that paper. It was single sheets and I have quite a bit of it, and I just left it for now. So we'll see. So I have all those that I prepped. Then this is all thin paper, really thin paper, mostly Christmassy. I'm gonna try and figure that out. I'm putting all the blue together. So as I went through the bags and stuff, I've taken all the blue out. And when I put this year away, I'm not going to put Christmas and then non-Christmas blue papers. I'm going to say all the blue goes in. It looks like 2 bins. I had it super organized. Like, one was paper collections and one was ready to make journals with. Like, you just open it up and I already had pages folded. Well, the paper collection one, honestly, it was too thick. It wouldn't shut well, and it was sort of damaging things. My guess is I bought one more collection sometime during the year and it sent it over the edge. Now I have 2 bins of blue that are a little mixed, but I'm seeing a blue tag here. I'm not just going to put it away like this. I'm going to do something with this so that I don't dread it when I see it later. Then we're moving into, these are Christmas scraps. They're thin. They're like those other ones, but they also don't have to be Christmas. Like, I could just use this on kind of a grunge journal. I don't want you to spend forever sorting your scraps, but I'm getting down to the end and I am trying to evaluate. My goal for today was, do I think I'm done processing Christmas scraps? Yeah, I'm pretty much done. The only thing I have left is this clear stuff, or this thin stuff. I'm not going to do anything with this. I am super proud of the scale of this. I'm going to put these all away in a way that makes them usable and not damaged for next year, you know, not like thrown in a bin and crinkled up. And I'm moving on to non-Christmas. Now, there is a lot of green in here because I made nature journals. So I may decide, okay, I'm going to make a green base, or I'm going to mix some in. I noticed in my scraps, Did you see how much red there was? When I was collaging, it got to a point where I would be looking for red or for green. I mean, there's tons of red. So maybe I'll pull in some of the green from nature journals, not that side, and do a couple more tags or collaging. But I'm really getting down to, okay, I think it's better. I also had a bunch of craft mixed in with Christmas, so I pulled that out. Any craft and blue cardstock, I said, yeah, I never go to my Christmas scraps to find a piece of craft paper to stamp on. I'm not done with scraps, but I think tomorrow, or I don't know if you're, well, maybe I'll keep you with me a little bit longer. How about that? So the next round, you're going to see a lot less Christmassy. And, oh, I can't put these away. I got to show them in the final video, don't I? I'm going to throw them in the bin for now. We'll see where tomorrow takes us and what we work on. I made some more cards. I made some neutrals, and I was thinking fall for this one. Another decal edge card here. Christmas with the poinsettias. I started making a bunch of mini envelopes because I had strips of paper I liked better than this, like this in thin papers, and a 3-inch, this is probably like a 3 or a 3.5 inch square. So you can make a bunch of mini envelopes. And I have some more cards that are over there smashed flat drying. So I think I'm gonna wrap up, and I'll show you. I have a whole bunch of squares cut to make envelopes. I'm gonna go watch TV. I mean, I'm down to not too much. I've got a little stash under here of some weird things. And then I found another bag in the cupboard. And so I think what I'll do is take whatever I'm not gonna process and put it in here. So I'll still have this scrap bag that I completely forgot I had. Looks like nature journals maybe, and before. I'm not sure what that is. But I think that will be the final bag of scraps, except for the only exception is this 4x6 of scraps that I keep on the counter. And I take this when I travel a lot to make scrap cards with. It's a kind of a grab and go project for me. So I don't feel bad about having that. I think it's looking pretty good. Now, Christmas is down to blue. Long scraps are here, and then I did change this to a larger bag just because I thought they were going to get bent up. This is the next collage and should deal with it. It used to be a box that I could pull off the shelf. If I pulled it off now, it would be this. I don't know if you're going to see any of that in the video. That would be like art journal-y, junk journal-y, super weird stuff. We'll have to see if I get that far, but I'm going to wrap up the behind the scenes now, and I hope you got some good inspiration. And you can see, compared to what I started with, whew, we've come a long way. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.